Okay, good morning. My name's Adam Franklin from Bluewire Media. We're a internet strategy, web development and digital marketing company in West End. Thanks for staying for the session Designing Emails for Action. Today I'll be addressing the fundamental question, which I think is the reason why we're all here this week, not this weekend, these 2 days. Why is anybody going to open and read and action my email? And it's a very good question. I'm going to start by leaving you with a take-home message today, and that is having great content made easy. Because it's not just about creating a good-looking email, it's about creating a good-looking email that inspires your readers to follow your calls to action. To give you a brief overview of my 20 minutes presentation today, I'll be starting off with 2 scenarios to set the scene. I'll be looking at the big considerations, the smaller considerations, the unseen considerations, and I'll be providing 20 tips and examples and case studies throughout. Okay, just to clarify, I won't be covering anything technical. Other speakers will address that today, and I'm treating it as a given for your web developer for the purposes of today's presentation. Okay, back to that fundamental question, why is anybody going to open and read and action your email? Well, to start with, I'd like to set the scene and consider in what environment do you check your email. Maybe you can relate with this. Do you check your emails at work, where you've got deadlines, you've got bosses in your ear, you've got clients hassling you, you've got reports due, you've got everything on your BlackBerry and you're getting hundreds of emails per day? Or maybe you can relate with this, reading your emails at home, where there's kids, there's dogs barking, there's homework to help the kids out with, there's dinner due, there's an early start for the gym the next morning, your favourite TV show about to start, so lots of distractions. Or maybe you do have lots of time, but you're a Gen Y, a teenager, so you've got all these other distractions as well. So you've got your iPod, you've got Facebook, instant messenger, all those types of things, plus your mum's nagging you about your homework. So again, why is anybody going to open and read and action your email? Well, it comes down to having great content made easy, and today I'll be giving 20 tips to help you achieve that. Now, the second scenario, picture this. You've got to book your family's holiday for Christmas. So you sign up to a handful of travel agencies' newsletters, and these are all fictional, so I didn't want to embarrass any companies that weren't necessarily following best practice. So the first email that comes in says e-news 20% summer specials, and that's what you see. You check it at work and your images are blocked, there's no way to download them. Then the second email comes in, this is from Fun Holidays. They say they've got 8.99 holidays to the Gold Coast. And it says, Dear Adam, Fun Holidays have been operating since 1986 and have been voted the #1 travel agency for 3 years straight, blah, blah, blah. Read what other families have had to say about us. Okay, so again, the images won't work because you're checking it at work and it's blocked. And then finally, the third email comes in from Great Holidays. And it says, we'll take the hassle out of your family holiday. November special, 2 kids, 2 adults, $2,490 to Noosa for 5 nights. Kids eat for free, and there's on-site childminding available for a small fee. Book securely online, or call Lisa on this number, or email info at Great Holidays. Now, my question to you is, who wins the business? If it was you, could I get a show of hands who you think, if email A or email 1 would win the business? Or email 2, or email 3. That's right. And again, it comes down to having great content made easy for the user. If you make it a good user experience, chances are they're going to reward you by engaging you and your brand. Okay, just to give you an overview of part 1, the big considerations. I'll be looking at the from line, the subject line, and the preview pane or above the fold. Now, I know they're technically slightly different, but for the purposes of today's presentation, I'll be treating them as the same. The preview pane is actually what you can see when you preview the email, and the above the fold is what you can see when you double-click and open up your email properly, and what you can see without actually having to scroll down, but I'll treat them as the same for this presentation. Okay, so what's what? That's the from line up the top, the subject line as well, and above the fold is what you can see without having to scroll down or in the preview pane. All right, so why do people open emails? Statistics show that 59% of people know and trust the sender, 46% of people previously opened the email and found it valuable, and 43% of people are attracted to a clearly stated offer. So the goal is to get the email opened. So tip number 1 for today, include the company name. If you know that people know and trust the sender, it makes perfect sense to put your company name there as a trusted authority or a trusted communicator to you. Tip number 2, keep it consistent. If you know that people open emails because they've previously received it and found it valuable, then keep the from name consistent so that you can build that trust and therefore get a higher open rate. Okay, the subject line. 45% of people open emails because of subject lines, and 48% of people are attracted to a clearly stated offer. So again, the goal is to get the email opened. Tip number 3, use a copywriter. That's their job, that's what they do best. If you can't do it yourself, definitely spend the money to hire a copywriter. In the same way that you'd hire a designer to do your logo and to hire a web developer to do your website, definitely hire a copywriter. It's what they do. Tip number 4, believe it or not, a good tip for writing subject lines is to say what's in it and why they should open it, so essentially describing the subject of the email. Tip number 5, avoid words like free. Avoid having lots of exclamation marks or putting things in capitals. They're all very spammy words, and they're also words that imply that you shouldn't have to be screaming out at the page to get somebody's attention. If you think about the emails that you do open, they're from people that you know, they're rarely punctuated like that. And avoid words like reminder, because generally they have a lower open rate. It implies that you've already seen the content before. This is just going to be the same stuff again, so why would I bother opening it? Tip number 6, if you do need some inspiration for writing subject lines, visit Amazon.com. I'll explain what I mean. On Amazon.com, obviously you can buy books, and books are written by authors and published by publishers who've spent lots of money trialling and testing various headlines. So not only will you have access to all this research and all the tips and techniques that work well for them, you'll have examples for headlines for any topic that you could imagine. So for the purposes of this example, I've typed in books and I've typed in fashion clothing. So a couple of examples here are Fashion 101, a crash course in clothing. How to make the most of your wardrobe, a guide to wearing fashion that works for you. So these are all example headlines that you can use for inspiration to tweak and adjust to suit your purposes. Okay, now consider this situation. There's a fictional plumber. These 2 emails arrive in your inbox. First one says Robert Smith, it's an e-newsletter. The second one is from Smith & Co. Plumbers. Basic plumbing, pro tips and simple steps. Now, my question is, which email gets opened? Who thinks email 1, or who thinks email 2? Okay, I agree. I think email 2, because it says who it's from, what's in it, and why you should open it. Now, of course, if you're not interested in plumbing, chances are you won't open it. But if you are interested in plumbing and you subscribe to receive this newsletter, chances are you're going to open that because it says exactly what's in it and why you should open it. Okay, thirdly, the preview pane. Again, the goal here is to get the call to action, to get them to follow the call to action. Whether that's a click-through or not, chances are it is. So tip number 7, have a prominent call to action. Tip number 8 is, if it's a long email, include it in this issue submenu so that people at a glance can see what's in the newsletter and why they're going to read further. And tip number 9, ensure that it works when the images are disabled. You've seen a few examples yesterday of what happens when you can't read emails because the images are blocked.